We do like the fact that we're seeing maybe a little less swelling than we see with competitor products. So kind of what you get at the end of the treatment seems to be a lot more stable over time versus swelling. I think that's the fact because it's less engineered. And I think people really like the way that it moves dynamically in the face. And I think people account by account are figuring out where does this fit in regards to their other filler products. I think they like the fact that it's new. I think anytime you're bringing new products into the market, it's the latest evolution of HA technology. It gives them something else to engage their customers with, to talk about, and to generate excitement. And so I think we've got a ways to run on that. There's a range of what we're seeing. Some accounts are leaning in, and it's becoming sort of their primary line of fillers. Others are sort of figuring on kind of it fits here because I use a variety of fillers, and I'm using this product for these indications and this one for these, or I'll combine them. And I would expect we'll continue to see that over time. But I think, first and foremost, people are saying, hey, it's performing well. We like it. It's also easy to massage once it's in place, and we like sort of that natural look. And so, right now we're very encouraged by what we're seeing, and sort of the launch is going, as planned.
Okay, great. And so, you just touched on something there. It's a new product and it's something else to engage customers with. So, all these products are ultimately successful if the consumer desires it, right? Was this product developed based on feedback that physicians were hearing from patients that they wanted something more natural? Or is it going to be one of those things where they've created a new product, the physicians have something new in their toolbox to use and to draw customers in with? So what's it going to be, a push or a pull type of demand scenario?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's a little bit everything, right? So first off, when you survey customers, I would say the number one reason why people don't get fillers is that they don't want to look, sort of overdone or fake. They want to look authentic. They want to look natural. And so that's come through very clear in our research and others. So the ability to deliver a more natural look resonates with consumers. I think that though practices, since the filler discussion between a patient and a physician tends to be a lot more individual, right? I think physicians or consumers have less sort of filler preference when they come in. Like, for example, Botox, people know Botox. When they come in for a filler, they know less about what to ask for. And so they listen a little bit more to the physician of, are you trying to solve for deep sort of loss of volume or superficial volume? Are you doing lips? What are you doing? And so I think in that discussion, it gives the office and the physician something to talk about. So having really good in-office practice tools about sort of our RH line allows them to say, hey, listen, I've got this new product. It came from Switzerland. It's the latest and it's more natural looking. So it gives them something to engage that's new and different. They'll do some of their own advertising. I mean, we're certainly doing some as well. We hosted sort of a media event where we had over 18 million impressions of people searching it. And so we're kind of supporting this whole thing in a very targeted and thoughtful way. But it'll be a combination of consumers wanting to look more natural and looking for products that do that. Practices having tools that they can then use to engage consumers that come in the door to say, hey, listen, here's one of the things I'm thinking about. Here's why I'm going to do it. And here's what makes sense. And then us doing, some of the leaning in and kind of brand building in a very thoughtful and targeted way.
Okay, great. That's very helpful. So also, can you talk about, you're doing this, you're launching this a little bit differently because I guess unlike other launches, in the aesthetic space, you're not giving away product to trial. You're not really advertising the price. You're clearly targeting a prestige clientele, high volume clientele that caters to a very specific segment of the market. How does that limit your reach? And just tell us the rationale of that strategy. Are you limiting your reach that way, or do you think over time it's going to broaden out?
Yeah, well, I mean, to your point, I mean, we think that rather than just do things the same as others, there's opportunity to kind of build a segment of the category a little bit differently. So first you talked about sort of samples. Now we believe that physicians and injectors that are willing to lean in with us, we will provide them demo product so that they can get experience with the product to make a good decision and make some assessment about how the product works. What we're not doing is using sort of free samples as a way to offset price, right? So, hey, buy 10, get 5 free, right? As a sort of really a discounting mechanism. And our view is if you look at what's happened in the market, um, there's a lot of work by manufacturers to offer incentives and discounts in the marketplace that conditions the consumer to shop price. And what that does then is puts more pressure on the physician to hold price at a level, even if they're a top level injector, because the consumer sees advertised prices down the street, and that ultimately puts pressure. And what we're trying to say is that if you look at the classic sort of, consumer market segmentation, you have, I'll use purses, you've got Hermes and you've got Gucci and you've got Coach, and you have different levels. And so we're trying to help create a prestige category. That doesn't mean everybody needs to get it, but those practices that want to offer something in addition to what they have a premium product that isn't just being driven by price. And by not doing advertised pricing and by not allowing our customers to price, they ultimately make that pricing decision. Now, they can do what they want, but that then means that the consumer is going to make a decision on where to go based on who they think is going to get the best quality. And then the physician can ultimately decide what they think is the fair price for that product without necessarily having a bunch of advertised pricing out there influencing that decision. And then the physician and the consumer can decide, do they want to use the RHA line of fillers? Do they want to use something else? And it's giving consumer choice, but it's helping drive that segmentation. I will say that narrative has resonated very well with the customers or the physicians. I think they see what's happening in the market. It makes a lot of sense to them, and they can lean in. To your question about does it constrain our launch? We don't think so. I mean, we're trying to be very methodical and build a really strong foundation so that as we move forward, we're building from a position of strength. And I think that the better job we do of being very disciplined in sort of our rollout is going to build a really good sort of long and steady kind of growth trajectory over plan that we're going for over time that we're going for.
That's helpful to understand. All right. So moving on, I just wanted to talk a little bit about your sales force structure. You have about 100 sales force targeting these premier docs, working between the filler product and the HintMD platform. Is it a different rep, or is it essentially the same the same sales point, but two different types of reps that are approaching this doctor? And how does that interaction work? And if it's the same rep, how does that conversation work